5G, the next generation of ultra-fast wireless connections, is coming next year, and there are lots of expectations. Today, on the first episode of the series, we will talk about 5G and how it actually works. But before we start talking about 5G, let's begin with some background. A cellular network is a radio network distributed over LAN through cells, where each cell indicates a fixed location transceiver, also known as a base station. These base stations provide the cell with the network coverage which can be used for transmission of voice, data, and other types of content. A cell usually uses a different set of frequencies from neighboring calls to avoid interference and provide guaranteed service quality within each cell. When joined all together, these cells provide radio coverage over a wide geographic area which enables a large number of portable transceivers like mobile phones to communicate with each other via base stations. 5G and 4G use the same type of electromagnetic waves, radio waves. And although it seems like the waves are the same, that wouldn't be really true. As we said early on, the radio spectrum is broken up into frequency bands which are then allocated to specific servers. Right now, all of the mobile communications are done through 4G and 3G that use frequencies below 6 GHz, and as the world contains more and more data and the spectrum doesn't expand, the network speed decreases. But 5G, on the other hand, opens much higher frequencies, between 30 to 300 GHz, which allows much faster communications and more bandwidth. These waves that operate on much higher rates are called millimeter waves, because their length is a few millimeters, and they are super useful. However, there is a little problem with them. Because of the short wavelength that we just mentioned, the waves are much more easily blocked by trees and buildings. And in addition to that, they are also quickly absorbed by the air. It means that even without obstacles, they may only travel up to 1 kilometer before petering out, whereas conventional frequencies can easily travel several kilometers. But as always, people brought up a solution. Instead of placing big base stations every few kilometers, we will set high-frequency small base stations every few hundred meters that will make sure there is always a good connection no matter where you are. Because of the enormous amounts of data that we have in our days, the networks need to be able to handle much more information, and so has the 5G. 5G will use a technology that is called MIMO, but on an enormous scale, so people call it massive MIMO. The MIMO connection was first introduced into Wi-Fi systems around 2006 and into 3G cellular shortly after. The technology is basically a wireless network that allows transmitting and receiving of more than one signal simultaneously over the same radio channel. This technology will really come into place in the 5G because of the vast amounts of data that the network will need to handle. All of these technologies combined create the 5G, which will be able to handle enormous amounts of data and will be 1,000 times faster than the 4G, and it will also have much lower latency. Because of that, lots of countries want to control the industry of 5G like the US and China, but we will talk about that in the next video. Until then, don't forget to subscribe and like the video.